come rushing in, and congratulations to Hacked Off and all of you who are part of the Hacked Off campaign, and it's great to see you here, and I hope you've enjoyed conference and what I thought was an absolutely remarkable speech by our leader Ed Miliband. And now I'm able to reveal that I have known Ed for more than 20 years, and actually it was me that gave him his first job in politics, so I'm sharing some of the credit here. However, that is not what you're here this afternoon to discuss. I think that we have, with the forthcoming publication of the Leveson report, a very important historic opportunity to deal with a problem which has been wrong in our democracy for many decades. And it is a historic opportunity, and one which we cannot miss. But I don't think that it's going to be very easy and straightforward, and we have to work very closely together on it. What we want to be sure we have is a proper system of complaints against the press, so that if somebody complains that something breaches the code of complaint, the editor's code, that actually it is looked into independently, that it applies to all newspapers, and that if an apology is required as a result of them getting something wrong, it is actually corrected. We need to make absolutely sure that the press don't have impunity from not having a proper press complaint system. I think none of us want any sort of pre-publication censorship, nor do I think that we want massive intervention, or indeed any intervention at all, on governance issues. We simply want accountability to a proper complaint system which can actually make sure that when a complaint is found to be valid, an apology is forthcoming. So we're hoping that Leveson comes forward with something which actually is not business as usual. Because I think if after all the testimony that has been heard, if we actually have pretty much the same as what we've got at the moment, that will not be good enough. It will not justify all the evidence that people like the Dowlers gave, and it will have lost us the historic opportunity to sort the situation out. But I think what we will need to do in order to progress forward is really to try and seek as much agreement as possible. As I say, having ruled out the idea that we stay with the status quo, or any version of the status quo. And I have to say that Guy Black's contract proposal is another version of the status quo, because actually the problem is that although it's a contract which is quite an onerous contract, it still leaves it open to any newspaper to decide not to sign the contract. And, you know, the definition of a contract is an agreement freely entered into by two parties. Supposing one of the parties decides not to enter into the agreement. So I think the idea that there is a contract there does not solve the problem of making sure that we have a proper complaint system which applies to all newspapers. But when Leveson is published, I hope that he will put forward something which provides the minimum necessary, so we've got the maximum, obviously, freedom of the press that we should have, but simply sets up a proper complaint system and underpins that in law so that it is actually able to do its work properly. I hope that we will find agreement across party on this. I don't think that we want to have a situation where we have political parties in competition, because in that case we will find some elements of the press play divide and rule, and we will be back where we started. So I hope none of us will seek political advantage out of this, that we will all try and get a proper settlement, a proper solution. And I hope too that I know the press feel very anxious and concerned about any sense of legislation. Obviously legislation already applies to the press in terms of contempt of court, official secrecy, you know, VAT exemptions. You know, obviously it does apply, but the idea of any further legislation worries the newspapers, and makes them think it might be the thin end of the wedge, and therefore many of them would rather simply say, let's have nothing at all. I don't think we can have nothing at all, but what we can do if we work together, all the political parties, and we work together with the newspapers, we can make sure that we have a settlement which actually ensures a proper complaint system within a strong, proud and vibrant free press. Doesn't seem to me that that is too much to ask, and if we get that, it will be in no small part due to the very excellent campaigning work and mobilisation that has been done boldly by Hacked Off. So thank you for what you've done.